This video covers an election that took place in 2007 when President Chavez lost an election to amend the Constitution. You see the blue book, the Venezuelan Constitution for 1999, and you see Chavez holding the blue book, the Constitution of 99, and holding a book called with the number 69 on it. He proposed 69 amendments to the Constitution in 2007, and he lost that election. Chavez started the process to amend the Constitution in August of 2007 when he sent 33 proposed amendments to the National Assembly. The National Assembly would have to approve the amendments to get the process moving along. And one proposal was to remove the two-term limit on the presidency and to increase presidential term to 7 years. And this would directly affect Chavez. And the reason for that was changes that had been made in the Constitution. In the 1961 Constitution stipulated that a presidential term would be 5 years with no eligibility for immediate reelection. So Chavez was elected in 1998 to a 5-year term. Under the 1961 Constitution, that was it. He could not run for a successive term. But in 1999, Chavez spearheaded changes to the Constitution, and they got a new Constitution entirely, and it stipulated presidential election term of 6 years with eligibility for immediate reelection. And so he was elected in 2000 to his first 6-year term and reelected in 2006 to a second 6-year term. And under the 1999 Constitution, that would have been it for him. And he was then proposing in 2007 to lift that constraint and allow him to run for an additional term. So the 2007 National Assembly had to approve those 33 proposed changes, and all of the members of the National Assembly in 2007 were Chavez supporters. And the reason for that was that the opposition had boycotted the 2005 National Assembly election. And so they basically gave all the seats to Chavez's supporters. So it was pretty much a done deal that they would approve the 33. And Celia Flores, who was president of the National Assembly at the time and is currently in prison here in the United States in Brooklyn, the wife of Nicolas Maduro, Flores announced that the National Assembly had voted out those 33 proposed amendments, and they added 36 more amendments. So that's how they got to the 69. The National Assembly approved the 69 amendments in November and sent them to the Electoral Council to arrange for a national referendum. The Electoral Council then set December 2nd for the national referendum, so things are moving pretty quickly. Chavez proposed 33 amendment changes in August. The National Assembly approved those 33 and added 36 more in November, and the National Electoral Council says we're going to vote on them in September. The Electoral Council divided the amendments into two packets, A and B. The A packet was largely Chavez's original 33 amendments. The B packet was largely the 36 amendments proposed by the National Assembly. And they distributed 10 million copies of the amendments to the population, the little red volumes with the number 69 on them. Now, I mentioned one proposed amendment, which was to the presidential terms. Here are a couple of other of the proposals, and they're a very complicated package. Allow the president to set up federal districts to bypass states. Allow the president to declare unlimited national emergencies, a strengthening of presidential authority in both cases. Reduce the work week. Lower the voting age. Ban discrimination based on sexual orientation. Remove the autonomy of the central bank and allow voting and the removal of Supreme Court justices with a simple majority in the National Assembly. But there was another controversial section of the proposed amendments, and that had to do with property rights. The Constitution was going to be modified to recognize new types of collective property, property owned by the government, property owned by the public, if you will. Now, private property would still exist, um, but what the opposition did was to seize on this proposed change and create they conducted a misinformation campaign asserting that the government would be able to take away people's homes. And that wasn't part of this proposal, but that's the way it was framed for the debate. Now, the vote on the constitutional amendments happened on December 2nd. There was only 56% of the voters that turned out, and that was pretty low in Venezuela. For example, in the 2006 presidential election, just a year before, 74% of the voters had turned out. And so a lot of people who voted in 2006 did not vote in 2007. And the packets lost very narrowly, almost split 50-50%. And the packet A lost just barely, packet B lost just barely. So again, a lot of the people who stayed home were thought to be Chavez supporters. They had turned out in 2006. They did not turn out in the same numbers in 2007. Now, on election night, Chavez went on TV and he conceded the loss for now, repeating the words that famous words he said in 1992 when his coup attempt failed. And at that time, he said, "We've lost for now." And he came back strong to win the presidency in 1998. So he's repeating that slogan, implying that he was going to be back with those proposals again in some form. And he said he congratulated his adversaries for this victory. Now, why did the proposed amendments lose? Why did the proposal lose? Well, it was very complicated. 69 amendments, two different packages. What's all this about? What are these 69 things, and how can I think clearly about them? And there had been very little time for discussion. He started the process in August, and the vote was in December. And so a lot of confused voters stayed home. Again, they're thought to have been Chavez supporters who didn't really understand what was at stake here. But there was an upside, if you will, to this election, as Bart Jones, who was quoted in the New York Times, saying that Chavez detractors had long claimed he was a dictator. We saw that in a lot of American press accounts at the time. But he actually proved his Democratic credentials by accepting that electoral defeat. And the obvious point was made: dictators don't accept defeats. And so the upside was that Chavez accepted defeat. The electoral council and the electoral process was not under his control. The vote can go against him, and he accepted it. The Venezuela Reader maintains a blog, and you can read about this election in 2007 in a post in the blog, and all the documents that were used to put it together are enumerated in that posting.